Everyone, I'm Priyanka, and welcome back to another episode on Founder Stories. Today's episode is slightly different. I'm not speaking to a SaaS founder like I usually do. I'm speaking to someone who was working a great job at a FANG company but left his high paying job to build content and build personal brands, not for himself, but help other founders also build a personal brand and monetize their brand through building content on social media platforms, specifically Twitter. So, this is going to be a very interesting episode, specifically if you are looking to build a personal brand for yourself and monetizing your content on Twitter or any other social media platform. Also, this episode is brought to you by productlogz, a customer feedback management platform that helps you collect and track customer feedbacks, plan roadmaps, and publish product announcements. So, without any further ado, let's get started. Hi, Saurabh. Thank
Hi,
you for
Priyanka.
joining in. Thank you for coming on board for the podcast. I usually talk to people. Most of my previous podcasts have been around people who are building SaaS, but this is going to be something really different because it's somehow what you are doing, which I will let you talk about it. But what I understand is what you are doing is going to be very helpful for SaaS builders as well, and also for marketers and coaches, etc. So, without any further ado, why don't you just get started? Tell us about what exactly do you do?
Yeah, a quick introduction about me. Until January of 2023, I was working as a business intelligence engineer at Amazon. I was leading data science and analytics for a product team at Amazon. But I was always keen on having a life where I had more freedom of time, freedom of location, and I also had entrepreneurial aspirations, right? So I was constantly looking for ways to build that life for myself. And that's when I stumbled upon a lot of interesting people on the internet, people like Naval, people like Dan Co. And I came across a lot of digital writers, people who write online and make money out of it. And that's what I wanted to do because I was really interested in writing, right? But as soon as I started writing online on Twitter, very quickly I realized that just writing won't help me monetize myself in the online space. I would have to learn more skills around marketing, around personal branding, around persuasion, human psychology to actually go ahead and monetize this. So when I started writing online in 2023, I started off on Twitter, I started getting traction, and I started helping other people with their personal brands, with their writing, with their copywriting, ghostwriting, and stuff like that. And during the process, I learned a lot about marketing and sales. So eventually, I started to use those skills and I started to help other entrepreneurs, other professionals who wanted to monetize their skills, monetize their interest on the internet, and build a lifestyle business around that. And that is what I help people do right now. So there are a lot of people who are really good at their craft. So, for example, they are great at maybe web design, they're great at copywriting, but they are not great at being able to monetize that online, right? So, those are the skills which I possess, and that is how I help them turn their skill set into a lean, profitable business online. And that is what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, interesting. So, I'll just go a little bit back in time where you said that you started writing on Twitter around 2022 or 23? 22, you said.
23.
23. Okay, that's not
Yeah.
much far, like just a year back. So while
Yeah.
you were writing, and I want to understand that shift that you made from working as a business intelligence officer to coming to writing, and that to helping out entrepreneurs. Like what exactly happened there, and why did you make this shift?
Right. So, like I said, while I really enjoyed my job, I was working with a great team. I enjoyed the work that I did. I always had entrepreneurial aspirations right from the onset, and I wanted freedom. So, I wanted freedom of time where I could pick and choose when I work. I wanted freedom of location where I could work from anywhere in the world instead of being sort of restricted to a particular location, right? And I was looking at ways I can do that constantly by reading books, looking for ways I can do that on the internet. And that's when I stumbled across Naval Ravikant. I came across his podcast with Joe Rogan. I read his book, and he talked a lot about wealth building and wealth building in the 21st century. He talked about three things that you need to build wealth in this generation, which is specific knowledge. That is knowledge which is not really taught in schools or colleges. You need accountability, which means you need to uh, put your work out there in front of people. So a personal brand is a good way to do that, or building online is a good way to do that, right? And then he talked about leverage. So when we work as an employee, we don't really have a lot of leverage, right? But when you create a product, let's say you create a SaaS, let's say you create an app, you create it once and then 1,000 people can use it. You write a piece of article or a newsletter, 1,000 people can view it at once. So that gives you a lot of leverage. And that really struck with me, but this was still very high level. I still wanted to distill this whole theory or concept in a more actionable way. And that's when I came across this person on the internet called Dan Co. He started out as a digital writer and eventually evolved as an entrepreneur, right? And I was always into reading, I was always into writing. So I thought that, hey, this is something which I could give a shot to, right? So I quit my job. I took the plunge, so I burned all the boats. I quit my job in January of 2023. I didn't really know much about the internet ecosystem, about marketing, about sales. I was a mechanical engineer and then I became a data scientist. So I had no background in marketing or sales. I just knew that I really liked writing. So I started writing content on Twitter. And this was just my thoughts, my ideas, the problems that I was solving for myself. And at that point, the biggest problem which I was solving for myself was trying to figure out how I can monetize my writing on Twitter, right? Eventually, I started gaining traction on Twitter and I realized that there were a lot of other people who resonated with my ideas and they also needed help with writing. They really liked my writing. They thought that I could help them with their writing. So I started helping them with their writing. So I was helping founders, I was helping entrepreneurs, I was helping professional athletes build their personal brands on Twitter. And since Twitter is a writing platform, most of it was through writing, right? So I had actually started to monetize my writing. And that's when I started to understand more about how marketing happens, how funnels work, how top of the funnel content works, how middle of the funnel content works. And that slowly and then I made that transition from just monetizing my writing to monetizing the marketing and sales skills that I'd learned during that process.
Yeah, interesting. So since you're talking about Twitter, and I know for a fact that a lot of founders, specifically indie hackers, if you say the indie hacker community itself, they rely a lot on Twitter to, specifically sharing their journey or talking about their product or just in general talking about themselves or what they are doing. So when you say that you have been helping out other founders, how did you find first of all these founders for, like, first of all, how did you find these founders to help them out? And second of all, since you were very new in content writing, right? So I'd like to know, what is your view of Twitter's algorithms back then in 2023 and right now, what is happening?
Yeah. I think that's a great question. So, first of all, I'll tell you a bit about my process, right? Most of my So all of my lead generation or all of my client acquisition happens through organic content. I don't really rely on ads or paid stuff. It's all organic. It's all through content, right? And when I started posting online, I was doing it every day. I was doing it very consistently, and I was also spending the time to understand the algorithm at the start because I was just starting. So during the first 3 months, I gained around 1,000 followers, and I was averaging around, my posts were getting decent impressions and they were also getting decent engagement. I was making sure that I was writing to the people that I would want to attract on my profile. So a lot of my early clients came through inbounds, which means that they looked at my content and I would do these hand raisers that, hey, if you need help with writing, if you're a founder, if you want to build your personal brand, you can reach out to me. And that is how they came to me. Initially, I was not doing outreach at all. So I think that answers your first question. When it comes to algorithm, back then, back in 2023, the algorithm was really good. So if you could escape that beginner hell of the first 400, 500 followers, and if you're consistent with your content, if you're posting the right kind of content, if you're making sure that you're engaging with the community, if you're making sure you're networking with people around you, it was very easy to grow and it is also very easy to get a ton of engagement, right? uh, right now, especially since Elon took over, there were a lot of changes in the algorithm, and the algorithm has become very volatile. So right now, the algorithm changes every couple of weeks. That was not the case back in 2023. And that is why, at a later point in my journey, around September or October of 2023, I realized that, hey, I cannot rely on the algorithm for my business. And that is when I made a conscious shift to separate the algorithm or the impressions or the engagement that I get on Twitter from my business or my revenue. But I think that is something which we can go into deeper later.
Yeah, I mean, for me also, what I know, I started Twitter back in September around 2023. Although I was there on Twitter from 2008, I guess, but never used it to for my personal brand building or for making my product more visible or anything as such. So I started back in September 2023, and for me it was those 5 6 months was probably, like you said, the hell of a journey where you have to start from zero to get those initial 400 500 followers. So my process was for me, but the process was mostly engaging on other people's tweets, specifically who the community that I want to reach out to, and posting couple of contents. But usually posting contents didn't really work out at that point of time. You wouldn't, even today, now that I am just around 1,000 followers above, I'm not getting a lot of engagement in my post. Although I saw a shift in the algorithm, like you said, that initially what the post that I would write, the content that I would write, that would get a bit of traction or a bit of engagement. But the same content, if I try to reuse it now, I do not get that kind of traction. And also there are a lot of other contents, like, like I want to connect with blah blah blah, and probably content like revenue, how much revenue I'm making. These content get a lot of traction, these get a content lot of engagement. So what content, so in your initial days, what was the content exactly? If you can give us a couple of examples, what were you actually writing about, and how has that shifted now for you? How, what was those content in the initial days for you, and what are you doing now?
Yeah, so I mean, before I answer that, I just wanted to give a quick caveat. Right now, when I work with my clients, my philosophy is very clear. I help them generate revenue through their personal brand. The goal is not to generate followers or impressions. And many people from the outside have this misconception that followers and revenue go hand in hand. That's not the case at all on Twitter. There are people with 50,000 followers, $100,000 followers, who are not making any money on Twitter. And then there are people who are at 500 followers who are making a lot of money or generating a lot of revenue on Twitter, right? So that is number one. There is some correlation, but there is no direct causation, right? So how you build your audience, or the quality of your audience, is even more important than the quantity of your audience, right? And I was very conscious of this right from day one. Otherwise, I could have just gotten paid retweets or bought ads and grown my followers a lot in a very short amount of time. But I wanted to have the right kind of audience on my profile or on my account. So when it comes to content, at the earlier stages, my content, when I was just starting out, my content was based on three key pillars, right? The first pillar was growth content, and the purpose of this kind of content was to get more eyeballs to my account or get more visibility to my account, right? So this would be more general self-improvement stuff, mindset related things which I really believed in. For example, working out, how that improves mindset and stuff like that. But this would only be 20% of my content. 70% or 60% of my content would be actionable advice to my ICP or my ideal customer. At that point of time, my ICP were people who wanted to monetize their personal brands, who wanted to monetize their digital writing. And I was solving that process for myself. So I would document every challenge that I would face and then share that as content online. And then maybe even give actionable advice, how I solved particular problems, how I navigate particular situations, which was relevant for my ICP and which was relevant to the problem which I was solving for myself. This was the bulk of my content back then, which was around 60%. And then around 20% of my content was about myself, my personality, my backstory, my mission, my journey, right? So that would help me create a more personal connection with my audience. So that would help me stand out from companies and brands and corporations, because people were connecting directly with me. They felt that sense of connection because of the kind of content which I was posting. Right now, since things have evolved, I have evolved from just a writer to an entrepreneur on Twitter. My content talks mostly about, it's very high authority stuff which talks about where I share insights with people around monetizing your skills online or around monetizing your skills on social media, where I try to shift their perspectives and beliefs. So there are a lot of common myths floating around. So for example, something which I just referred to a few seconds back, which is this correlation between followers and uh, revenue. People think that, hey, I need to be at 1,000 followers to make money. That is simply not the case. I have clients who land $3,000 clients just at 300 followers, right? So I shift these perspectives using my content. I also share a lot of my backstory still, because at the end of the day, this is a personal brand. I want people to connect with me, but I also want to showcase my authority. I also want to build trust with them so that they understand that, hey, I am good at what I do, and I'm good at taking their skills and interest, packaging it into a premium solution, and then helping them sell it to their potential clients. So right now my content has shifted a bit from those early days.
Nice, interesting. So, like you mentioned about, you've been very much emphasizing on the fact that the follower count doesn't matter, but the quality of your followers does matter. Now, I want to go
Yeah.
a little bit deeper on this because, yeah, I mean, this is a common misconception, and people are literally going after that. I should get more followers. I should reach 10,000, 20,000 followers, but they are not able to monetize that following, right? So, what is your process of getting quality followers, quality people, engaging with quality people, and what is? I believe this is something that you probably coach or teach your clients as well. So, if you can give a process of that, how to get quality followers first of all, how to engage with them, and how to get those inbound leads rather than actually going outbound. So, these three things, if you can just give a brief about how what is the process.
Yeah, so I'll touch upon the quality followers aspect first. So before you set out to get quality followers, you need to have clarity on who exactly your ICP is, right? Who exactly is the person that you want in your follower list? Whose problem do you really want to solve? Once you have clarity on that, then you can write content which is directed directly towards them, and then you will attract them to your profile, right? And I'll give you an example with what's happening on Twitter right now in August 2024. And this is a mistake which a lot of the beginners are making. They constantly flex their follower growth and impressions, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
what happens with that is they attract other people who are beginners in this journey, who are also trying to grow their followers and impressions, right? But they would not attract people who can actually afford their services, who are high achieving professionals or entrepreneurs. The
yeah,
problem is when they start writing content for high achieving professionals and entrepreneurs, their impressions and their reach will suffer, but they will attract the right kind of people, and they will attract people who have the capacity to buy their products, buy their services. And this
yeah,
is a fundamental mistake which 90% of people or 90% of beginners on Twitter are making right now. I see it every day. This
yeah,
is one. So the second question which you asked was around inbound leads, right? So again, with inbound leads, every transaction that happens on the online space happens based on trust, right? So you want to develop trust with your prospects and with your potential customers. A big part of that trust is first of all showing up every day. You have to be consistent with your content. You have to be out there every day, and then you have to showcase your expertise. So I'll give you an example on how I do it. So I constantly post client case studies. I post case studies about myself. I post client transformations, and I write long form threads. Or I like, if you check out my pinned post, that is a transformation post, right? So these are things which showcase to my potential customers that, hey, this person has achieved XYZ results and he knows what he's doing. So this builds trust over time. And then once you combine this kind of content with a plug where you say that, hey, I can help you do the same, then they reach out to you. A lot of times people also make this mistake where they do post the right kind of content, but they're too scared to sort of pitch their offers,
Yeah.
which is a mistake in my opinion. You have to, your if you're running a business, you have to promote your offers. Nobody else is going to do that for you. So you have to do those soft plugs, those hard plugs, so that people reach out to you. So you can write a great thread, but if you're not leaving your audience with any kind of CTA, they won't reach out to you, right? So you have to do
Yeah.
that. So when you combine these two things, you start getting inbound leads.
Yeah, interesting because a couple of weeks back I had Bhanu Teja on my podcast. So he runs a SaaS site GPT. Before that, there was a another SaaS that he was running called Feather that converted your Notion blogs to website blog posts basically. So that he sold, and the most insightful thing that I had got from him was that when he started off, he started documenting his journey on Twitter, and then every tweet that he posted, he put a CTA link to his current SaaS product, be it a Feather or be it Site GPT. But he would always pitch his product whenever he documented his journey. So this is very insightful, and this is absolutely right that a lot of us feel very scared, or probably just for not sounding very salesy or something, that, oh, I don't want to be sounding salesy, I just want to share what I know, what I've learned. So people do rather, they kind of miss out. They do not, it's actually a kind of missed opportunity for you, that if you're not plugging in your own product or service. But you also said that about case studies, right? Like, it would be good to showcase your case studies or whatever your learnings. But what about people who have just started? Let's suppose somebody who has just started, he or she has a business running, not exactly running, but has just started and wants to grow on Twitter, wants to get some leads from Twitter. He thinks that, well, I have a good audience on Twitter, I can probably reach out to, like, I can get some inbound leads from Twitter, but I do not have a great following. I have not posted a lot of posts yet. So what would your process be if you had to just start right now in 2024?
Yeah, so I work with a lot of people who are just starting out on Twitter. I work with professionals who have worked in the corporate space for years, or who have had businesses offline or businesses outside of social media, and now they want to leverage platforms like Twitter to expand their business. And if you have case studies, that's very easy to do. I've already covered that. But let's talk about someone who's just starting out, who maybe does not have case studies, right? First of all, I would encourage everybody to build a personal brand, to document every part of your journey as a founder. In 2024, having a personal brand is as important as having a resume. At least that's what I believe. And you're missing out on a ton of opportunities. You're leaving a ton of money on the table if you don't have a personal brand in 2024. Now, if you don't have testimonials or case studies, I think the best case study or the best testimonial is your own case study, right? And you have to show that progress. Everybody starts as zero. When I started out with my writing offers, I didn't have any case studies, right? But I was documenting my journey that, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. My writing is getting me traction. I'm getting so and so numbers on my email list, or I'm getting so and so numbers on my profile, right? So I was documenting my journey, I was documenting my results on my personal brand. And that is the best way you can start off. You can document your journey, you can make yourself your own best case study. And if that does not work out, if you want something even further from that, although I don't recommend this to my clients, but another way is to work for free for a couple of clients, deliver exceptional results for them, get testimonials, get case studies from them, and then leverage those case studies to get clients. At the end of the day, you can get your first client even without a ton of case studies or testimonials. I've seen that happen many times in the past. You just have to build that trust with your content and with an exceptional offer. And I don't know if we'll get the time to touch on that, but an offer is also very important. A great offer is very important, and offer is slightly different from your service or from your solution. An offer is how you package it, how you turn it into a sort of a marketing argument for your solution and present it to your prospect. So a solid offer and great content which builds trust will help you sell even without a ton of testimonials and case studies. I've worked with around 30 plus clients now, and I've seen that happen multiple times.
So, since we are talking about offer, why don't we go a little bit deeper on it and try to understand what exactly an offer could be or should be? Let's suppose I'm giving an example. I am a content writer, right? And like I've just started doing content writing. And how would I package my service, or how would I make it into a really great offer that somebody could really like jump on in? And that too on, like, because on Twitter, like, we are not talking about emails, cold emails or cold outreaches.
Yeah, I think that's a good question because offers are critical, and I see that very few people in the space actually know how to build good offers. It'll be difficult to summarize everything. I actually did a 1 hour workshop with my clients to tell them how to build an offer, but I'll try to summarize it as well as I can. So first of all, if you are looking to make it in this space, if you want to sell your services in the free market globally, I would recommend you pick up Alex Hermosi's 100 Million Offers. It's a great book to learn about offers and how you can go about building them. But I'll just quickly give a summary. So, first of all, your offer needs to have a great offer statement, right? This is the transformation which you're going to provide to your customers. A lot of times, when I look at people's websites or how they present their service, it only talks about features. It that hey, my service has this. I will write 10 emails for you, or I'll write 3 posts for you. I'll do this for you. Your customer doesn't really care about the number of emails that you write, the number of posts that you write. They care about what they will get out of it. Will they get inbound leads from the content you're writing? Will they gain revenue from the emails which you're writing for them? Right? They are more concerned with that. So a great offer starts with a great offer statement, and a great offer statement needs to be specific and it needs to showcase a transformation. And I'll give you an example of a mediocre offer statement and a great offer statement. So if I am a, let's say I'm a fitness coach and I tell you that hey, I'll help you lose weight. Now this is a mediocre offer statement. Of course there is a dream outcome associated with it where I'll help you lose weight, right? But this is not very specific. But if I tell you hey, I'll help you lose 5 kgs in the next 3 months without a crash diet, this is very specific. I'm telling you that hey, you'll exactly lose 5 kgs. You'll lose 5 kgs in 3 months. You'll lose 5 kgs in 3 months without a crash diet, right? So now this becomes much more specific. This is a much more compelling offer statement or a much more convincing transformation that you can provide to your prospects or your customers. So this is step one. So a great offer starts with an offer statement. Then you need to talk about steps, right? So people don't buy from you because of the transformation, because of the outcome, but when you show them how exactly you will take them there, when you show them your philosophy, your way of doing things. It does not have to talk about every single technical detail, but you have to highlight your philosophy, how you do things. It becomes more appealing for the prospect or the customers to buy from you. So this is step 2. Then you need to talk about the mode of fulfillment. How will you guys work together? Make it very clear. A lot of times people try to be overly clever in offers and they lose that essence of clarity. As a customer, I want everything to be simple and clearly laid out in the offers. You want to talk about the mode of fulfillment, and then you want to have some sort of a risk reversal, because anytime a customer is going to work with you, they are investing their hard earned money, they are investing their time. So they, and as humans we have this bias called minimal risk bias, right? Where you want to minimize the risk that you are taking on in any transaction. So you need to have some kind of a guarantee or some kind of a risk reversal that puts your customers at ease, that helps you sort of again infuse that trust with them. So these are the fundamentals of an offer. And one more thing which I would like to highlight, and I think this I did when I was talking about the offer statement as well. People talk a lot about their features, but the best offers are benefit driven. They talk a lot about the benefits that your service will give to the customer, instead of saying that, hey, I will do XYZ for you, or I have this 20-page resource or a 3-page framework. They don't care about that. They care about what it will do for them. So, yeah, all in all, that is how you go about building great offers.
Yeah, that's a very comprehensive understanding of offers. In fact, I for myself, I also thought that probably, when you are offering something, you showcase the benefit, and that's about it. But I think, but like you said, there are so many things around offer. It's just not that, oh, I'll do these three things for you and you will get this result, but it's about going into the very specifics of the result of how you're going to do it, how we are going to achieve it, and in probably in what time could be like.
I'll
Yeah.
just touch upon a couple more things which I think are critical for offers. Number one is, and this nobody on Twitter does, and very few people in the online space actually do this. This is prevalent in the whole startup ecosystem, not so much in the online business ecosystem, which is product market fit, right? So you need to first of all go out and do research. Whenever I am building a new offer for myself or my clients, the first thing I do is I talk to 30 to 50 potential customers. I
Hmm.
ask them a lot of questions. So then I can package my skills in a way that the market actually wants. So I
Resonates. Yeah.
built an offer for which there's absolute demand. They are starving for that offer. So then it becomes very easy for me to go out there and sell that offer or market that offer. I also understand marketing angles which I can use to market that offer well. This is super important, and this is something which I think a lot of people miss.
Yeah, yeah, I absolutely agree with you, specifically with respect to market research that you have to do before you formulate your offer. Because I was just about to ask you this question. Like, I am offering service A, X, and the other person is also offering service A. How do I differentiate my service with that other person? He might also have the same offer that, well, yes, I'm going to increase your SEO rankings in Google probably, and I'm also going to say I'm going to increase your SEO rankings in Google. But how do I differentiate from his or her service, which is probably what you're trying to say, that you have to go into the specifics. You have to first do customer research, find your ICP, try to understand who are you targeting, what are their major pain points, and then come up with an offer that probably that they will not be able to reject, because they will resonate with your idea of bringing what they want with the demand that they are asking for. And that is when you can close a client in a more efficient way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's a very these are very essential and small little things which usually people miss out. And it's just not for service based industries, but also for product based, where today if I am I have created a product, but if I do not have a good offer, I it makes no sense. Why will I not take up somebody else's product? Why should I take your product? So have you ever worked with product based companies where you have tried to make an you have consulted them on their offering? Do you have any experience on that front?
Mhm. Yeah. So, first of all, I'll just like to add a couple of things to what you said, because that is a common question which I get across all the time on Twitter, which is, "Hey, I am a copywriter and there are 100 other copywriters. How do I stand out?" Right? And that is where market research will help you find angles to stand out, and then you can create offers which are unique, and you can also come up with messaging which is unique. And I'll give you a quick example. I was working with this lead generation agency, and there are hundreds of lead generation agencies on all social media platforms. So we did a lot of market research, and interestingly, a common pain point which we came across was something which you mentioned, that how do I scale my lead generation agency without any case studies, right? So we sort of hammered down on that in our offer statement and in our content and messaging, and there was nobody else who was speaking about that on the platform, right? So that really sort of did great, and that helped my client scale to 5 to 7K a month very easily, because he had that unique angle. I'll help you scale your agency even if you don't have case studies. But coming back to your other question about product, so mostly I work with service based entrepreneurs or coaches, consultants, professionals, and things like that. But I've worked with a SaaS founder. It was this was a one-off case, and his case was very unique because they had a great product. It was a SaaS which was sort of similar to Gumroad, so you can create digital products, host it there, and so on and so forth. They had built the product. It was up for around, I think, 8 to 10 months, but they were not getting a lot of users on the product, right? And they wanted traction on that, and we started working together. What we did was, instead of trying to get more traction on the products page or the SaaS page, we built a personal brand for both the founders of the product, right? And we sort of grew that personal brand, and then all the traction, all the traffic that was coming onto that personal brand, we redirected it to the product, and that is how they were able to achieve a lot of growth in their product. So that was the one case where I have worked with a SaaS founder, but mostly I work with service-based entrepreneurs.
Yeah, so building a personal brand, right? What do you think? How much time does it take to build like usually I get this question a lot that, and mostly people are apprehensive about building a personal brand because some of them start, right? Some of them start, but then they stop midway because they see that, oh, I'm not getting any results out of it. Why am I even doing it? So, what is your thought process in when you are trying to build a personal brand? How how should you approach it? What should you have in mind while you are doing it? And since you have already coached a number of clients, what is the minimal amount that you think that, well, yes, now I think my personal brand is being built? So yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's difficult to answer that question because how I judge personal brands is through authority, right? And authority is not something which you can quantify. There might be other people who judge personal brands through follower growth, but like I said, it's not a great way to go about it. You When you have authority in a small niche, at that point you can say that, okay, I have a strong personal brand where people resonate with your ideas, where they reach out to you and say that, hey, I really like this, I really like what you're doing, I really like what you're sharing. And that does not just stays limited to their words, that also that is also the case with their actions, where if you have a CTA to your website or to your email list, they are going to click on that. If you have a pitch, they might not buy from you directly, but they might show interest uh, in that, right? And when it comes to building a personal brand or creating something of authority, I still think that even with the changing algorithms, even with the volatile algorithms, if you are consistent for 90 days and if you do things the right way, right, where you have clarity on your ICP, where you have clarity on what is the ultimate goal for your personal brand. So, for example, I meet some founders who don't want to earn money, they just want to build influence. And then there are other entrepreneurs who want to earn money from their personal brands. The strategies are different, but you need to have clarity on what you want to do. You need to talk a lot about your mission, be authentic, because right now with the advent of chat GPT, a lot of people are using AI to create content, but if you say stay raw, authentic, unfiltered, that does really well. So if you talk about your mission authentically, if you have clarity on what you want to do, if you create messaging around that, then even in 60 to 90 days you can have a solid personal brand. Of course, you might not have 10,000 followers, but if you network the right way, if you engage with the right communities, you will have a small but solid presence in that niche which you're operating in. And I think that is enough. Even with 1,000 followers in a niche space, you can do great things with your brand, right? So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, right, that even if I have a very small audience, but if they are my ICP and they are my quality audience, I will be able, like, all I have to do is build and establish an authority in for those limited people also. So that is ideally what a personal brand is. It doesn't have to be 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 followers, but even if in a small segment of people, if I have if people are coming to me asking for my advice in that particular segment, that is when the personal brand, ideally someone, if someone has this question, they understand this is the answer to the question, that, well, even in a small group of people, if even one or two is coming to you and asking advice on your particular niche, then you have built a personal brand for yourself. Now it's all about scaling up that audience and reaching out
Yeah.
more people. So
Yeah.
let's talk about platforms, right? Like we have been talking about Twitter a lot, but why, like, should a person who is trying to build a personal brand, should he also try other platforms? Like, mostly people said that you should own your audience, right? You should have a newsletter of sorts where you can own your audience, and you do not have to depend on the algorithms of Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Google, etc. So, what is your take on that? That when if somebody has just started, should he just stick to one platform, or should he diversify his platforms where he should put content out on all the other platforms, or should he just stick to one platform? How should one go about it?
Yeah. So when it comes to the number of platforms, there are different opinions on this. But my personal take on that is I like to stick with one platform until I have hit a certain level. And this is what I advise all my clients as well. Let's just pick one platform, hit 10K per month using that platform. And then if you want to scale, you or if you want to diversify, you can do that. So maybe you start with Twitter, but after a point, if you want to diversify to LinkedIn or other platforms, you can do that. The reason I chose Twitter was because I liked writing. So instead of taking pictures or creating videos, the thing which comes the most naturally to me was writing, and hence I chose Twitter, right? But that while I say that you should stick to one platform until you reach a certain level, because it's difficult to build your authority just in one platform itself, especially when you're starting out. So you don't want to distract yourself and you want to focus all your energies on one thing. That being said, I do endorse the fact that you should have an email list right from the start. So, for example, I do have an email list. I have around a small community of 7,000 followers on Twitter, but I have an email list of around 2,000 people. And right now, most of my revenue comes directly from my email list. So around 70 to 80% of my revenue these days comes directly from my email list, and that is because Twitter content is mostly top of the funnel content. Of course, you can
Yeah.
market directly on Twitter. You can do that, especially if you don't have an email list. But on emails, it's much easier to build trust with your audience. You can write long form a whole lot more. You can share things which you might not be able to share on social media platforms, right? So, and it's very easy to market on emails. So I think you should definitely have an email list. It's a great asset, and it's a great insurance policy also, because it's owned audience, like you said. On these social media platforms, your account can get banned, can get suspended, anything
Yeah.
can happen anytime, and you don't want to risk your entire livelihood on that.
Yeah. So when it comes to having a newsletter, right? Like, while I'm writing content on Twitter or any other social media platform, I'm trying to get leads from there as well. And as you said, that's the top of the funnel, right? And ultimately, I have to come down to the bottom of the funnel where I can get quality leads that will convert into good clients, right? So if I am if I've just started out on Twitter, and probably I have 500, 600 followers of my own community or my own niche, and now if I want to get those, I want to convert those top of the funnel into quality leads and probably start a newsletter. How do you think this newsletter will pan out? Like, what are the methods of getting this newsletter to reach as many people as possible?
Yeah, so the easiest way you can do that is to market it as much as possible. If you go through my profile, I market my newsletter almost every day, right? So every day, I have a post under which my newsletter is sort of plugged. So a percentage of people go through that CTA and they become a part of my newsletter. Apart from that, you can also have your newsletter in your bio or that website section of your profile, right? So these are ways in which you can incrementally increase the size of your newsletter. And if you want to add bulk subscribers, a good way to do that is to create a lead magnet. And what I mean by lead magnet is you create a high value resource which is somewhat in line with your primary offer, so that you only attract people who are your potential customers. So you create this free resource and you do sort of a giveaway of this resource, right, on your social media platform. And that's how you can add around 200, 300 followers instantly to sorry, subscribers instantly to your newsletter, because in exchange for the resource which you're providing them, you capture their email IDs.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. I also followed this this lead magnet thing, and I started with lead magnet, right? Like, I built a list of directories for where startups can list their products. And at that point of time, there was no such thing where you could get a whole consolidated list of directories. So, and since I was doing it for myself, and I thought, why not just offer it for free to everybody else out there? Which is when I got a lot of subscribe, like basically I got a lot of a bunch of email lists. And then I decided that, well, since I'm already building a brand, a personal brand on Twitter, why don't I start a newsletter as well, which I can share my like journey, or basically share my insights or whatever learnings I'm getting in this newsletter as well. So yeah, I mean, this is a very good way, one, lead magnet, and second is to market it as much as possible. But marketing is again, like, it's like, if I'm sticking to just one platform, probably Twitter, it's the conversion rates are not very high, is what I personally believe. Like, even though if I keep plugging in, I might see a very small percentage of users who actually go and end up in my email list. So yeah, I mean, this is a good way to start building your own email list, and start building your own community as such, who can ultimately get you to convert into high paying customers as well. So we were talking about in between about using chat gpt for content writing, right? So, or any other Claude, etc., Perplexity. Now so many models have come up. What are your thoughts about, because I personally feel that if I just put whatever chat gpt has given me in terms of my content, and if I put it out there, it people now are aware of it, like the how they're the writing of it, the tonality of it. Even if you give a lot of prompts, put it in this tone or that tone, people are get generally aware of it. Oh, this is written by ChatGPT, this looks very, it doesn't look authentic as such. But having said that, I also feel that you always cannot come up with authentic or raw content, right? Like, you have your own tone of voice, you might have your own insights. But getting inspiration, one is getting inspiration, and second is getting help with your writing. So how, according to you, can someone get a balance of using these AI tools for their content writing, and also put their content as much raw and authentic as possible with their own learnings? How can somebody put a balance on that?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I'm not sure how much I'll be able to help because I don't really use a lot of these tools, and there's a reason for that. Like you said, a lot of the output that comes out of these tools is very mechanical and robotic. And I know people who sort of engage under my posts and they reply using Chat GPT. I can easily figure it out that hey, these are Chat GPT replies, right? So. And that sort of crushes the entire essence of a personal brand because it says personal brand, not brands. And by personal I mean that hey, I want to learn about your thoughts, your ideas written in your voice, right? That being said, there are some people who have learned how to use it well, right? If you give the right prompts, if you push the right buttons on these AI black boxes, then you can get the right kind of outcome. But usually you will have to train them on a lot of your previous content. I think that is a good way to do that, where you train some of these tools using your previous content as data, and then they can sort of write content which might seem more natural or which might seem more aligned with your voice. That is something which you can do. But when it comes to writing content for a personal brand, of course the ideas are going to be limited. I don't care how insightful you are or how cool of a life you live, the ideas are still going to be limited. But the good thing about personal brands is you can repeat a lot of these ideas constantly. And in fact, you should do that because then your customer base or your audience starts to associate you with a particular philosophy, a particular idea, or a particular way of doing things, which is good. So, how I try to approach these things is I have an idea bank where anytime I have an idea, maybe I'm walking, maybe I'm working out, and if I have these ideas, I'll write them down in my phone or something, and I come back and put it in my idea bank. So next time when I'm having a writing session or sitting down to write content, I just look at some of these ideas and then write about them in a way that I know will do well on Twitter, right? So the ideas are authentic, the ideas are mine, but I still try to write them in a way which might do well on the platform, which might So I'll try to keep the structure more readable. I'll try to emphasize on the hooks so that I can capture people's attention and so on and so forth. But a good mix can be achieved with AI tools and with your own ideas and writing. I have not been doing that till now. Maybe I'll do that in the future when I have to scale, and or maybe when I'm posting on multiple platforms, I might be
Yeah.
forced to do that. Right now, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for if when you're talking about idea, getting idea or inspiration, this is something that I personally get stuck at. And that one method that you talked about was really cool, that if whenever you get something like you're doing a lot of things throughout the day, right? And you also interact with people, you interact with things, or the events keep happening throughout your day. So as soon as you get something which is strikingly, like you feel like, yeah, I should share this with my audience, you should just put it down, just note it down. And because yeah, it's a fleeting thought. Mostly ideas are what, a fleeting thought, they will just go away and you won't remember it again. So this is a good concept where, yeah, as soon as you get something, just write it down there and then you can come back to it on it later on. So yeah, I mean, that's a very good process. But the other thing that I wanted to understand was, what is your take on like trending topics? Like, since I do a lot of SEO, right? And even on Twitter I've seen that if you catch on a trend, like if you catch on a trend with your own twist, that also seems to do well, and people do want to hear about those trends, like your take on those trends that is happening. So what is your take on writing about the trends that is going on, or catching on a some, like currently the AI wave is trending like for the last 1 year and it's not going to die down. So how do you do that, and do you recommend it for, first of all?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, and it's interesting because it's these trending topics are a double-edged sword, and I'll tell you why. So, of course, you do want to do it from time to time because your audience wants to know your take on certain topics. So, of course, if a major world event happens and they want to know your take, you should take a stand sometimes, but you can't do that on every topic because the news cycle works in a way that every day there's some
Yeah.
crazy incident happening, right? So you can't do it every day. And the reason I say it that you can't do it every day, because people think that virality is cool, but virality has its own cons in the whole personal branding online business space. Because when a tweet goes viral, you start attracting people outside your small cocoon or outside your niche, right? And these are not people who are relevant for your brand or your business, and which is not always a good thing to have, right? So you, like I said earlier, the quality of your audience is important. You want to be a micro authority in your niche. So if you, let's say you do a post, you get millions of impressions, but if most of those followers are from outside, they are not really relevant followers or relevant impressions, right? So they don't really add too much to your brand. I have had times when my posts have gone viral, but they were never posts which were specific to my ICP. They were more general posts, and to be honest, even the posts which got millions of impressions, they didn't really add too much, not even too much. They didn't really add anything to my business. So it feels good. It gives you that cheap dopamine hit, but it doesn't really do too much to your business. So while you can do it occasionally because your audience wants to know it's your take, there's no point in doing it over and over again.
Yeah, but I think I can agree with you 100%, because I kind of some of my tweets went viral and all I got was a lot of noise, right? Like a lot of other people who are not in my, like my niche or my segment, and they started engaging on my posts, and it made no sense, right? Like, because I'm not targeting them, I'm not they are not my ICP. So yeah, that this is one big con. But pros are, yes, I mean, yeah, you'll get a lot of followers, and yeah, people might like your take on what is currently going. So yeah, you can do it, but yeah, you can take a balanced approach on writing
Yeah.
on trending topics. So yeah, let's talk about the tools that you use for your process, for your entire content writing, coming up with ideas, writing down the content, publishing it, editing it. Let's talk about the tools.
Yeah, so I mean, I am a very simple guy. All my processes are very simple. I use Notion to capture my ideas and to post on Twitter. I use a tool called Tweet Hunter. So it's a great tool because I can schedule all of my content for the week in advance, and then it will post those tweets on the times which I want, which are times when my audience is most active. It will repost those tweets for me, so it does everything for me. Super easy to use as well. Apart from that, for my email marketing, I use ConvertKit.
Do you use Tweet Hunter to get inspiration ideas as well, because they give viral topics, etc. And some, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, they have that section, but I don't really use it. Yeah.
yeah, I
So
wanted to
yeah.
understand that is it effective, or does it really, like, add any value? So, anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, I haven't really used it, but when I look at some of the ideas or the tweets which are there, it would have done well in 2020 or 21, maybe not so much right now.
Oh, is
So
it?
you're much better. You would be much better off going through the feed, manually analyzing some patterns in your micro niche and figuring out what works well. That will help you much more than going through those inspirational ideas over there. So yeah, but I use the tool. I really like the tool. It's a good way to manage Twitter. And if you do giveaways or if you do lead magnets, Tweet Hunter has a way to sort of auto DM people, because sometimes these lead magnets get a lot of engagement and you can't
Yeah.
manually sort of send messages to everybody. So Tweet Hunter does that for you. It's a cool tool. And yeah, apart from that, for my emails I use ConvertKit. So it helps me set up a welcome sequence. So anytime somebody joins my email list, they get my welcome emails, which are a 4 day or 5 day sequence, and then I use them to send broadcast emails as well. Sometimes I do it daily. Right now I'm doing it 3 to 4 times a week. So yeah, primarily those are the tools which I use. I don't use a ton of tools.
Nice, nice. So I think we've come to the fag end of the episode, but uh, at the end, I just want to know a little bit about your personal life, where I want to know how, like you said, you started your career in Amazon, which I know is pretty hectic and crazy. How has been the change for you personally? How are you liking it, or what are the things that you would want to improve, or anything?
Yeah, so I think that's a good question, because the major reason I made this switch from Amazon to writing and building online, it was not the monetary aspect for me. I worked at a FANG, the salary was great, and I was enjoying my life. It was more of my life, right? I wanted to design my life or live my life in a way which I really enjoyed. And that's the best thing about building online. I can run my business the way I want. So, for example, right now, I can work from wherever I want. In April and May, I spent a month working from the foothills of Himalayas in Uttarakhand. Right, that this is not something which I could have done when I was working a 9 to 5. Right now, I work 4 to 5 hours a day. I have very few clients. I work with high ticket clients, but I keep the quantity of those clients low so that I can still get time to enjoy my life. Right, I work out in the morning. I have these 4 to 5 hours of work, and then I'm free to do whatever I want. The idea is to optimize for life and not just to optimize for revenue. And that's a big philosophy of mine. I want to scale my business, but I want to do it in a way where I enjoy the process and where I live the life that I want to live.
Interesting. I mean, that's a very nice thing that you said, that I want to optimize for life and not for revenue. And this is what most of us have realized, at least in this generation, that it's not about working 20 hours a day or getting a 1 crore package. It's about the life that you are leading, and the work that you are doing is meaningful, valuable, and it is equally, it's balanced out for you, and you're enjoying it. So yeah, that was great, Saurabh. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I think I got a lot of key takeaways. I hope the audience also found it really interesting. So thank you so much, Saurabh, and I'll catch you later with you later on, probably in offline or something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Priyanka. I had a great time talking to you as well, and see you. And I'll be looking forward to talking to you.
Thank you everyone for tuning in and staying until the end of this episode. If you liked whatever we discussed specifically, this is a very new topic on personal branding, and also an important one. If you liked it and you got some really great insights. Please do let me know in the comments so that I can bring you more such content in my next episodes. And also, this episode was brought to you by a customer feedback management platform that helps you collect and track customer feedback, publish roadmaps, and publish change logs for your users and stakeholders. I will now see you on my next episode. Until then, see you. Tata. Take care.